Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are just going to have kind of a sit down chat today about something that is very relevant to me and something that I deal with a lot, and that is feeling lonely in your 20s. And it's not even just your 20s, but basically the topic of feeling lonely. So this topic is actually really sensitive to me. It's something that I've dealt with almost all of my life. But before we really dive into what I want to talk about, I just wanted to say that I don't want this video to come off as like really sad and like a downer or like a pity party for me. I just kind of want to talk to you guys about this because I know a lot of people struggle with feeling lonely. As I have approached my 20s, I've felt lonely more and more often, and I know that a lot of people struggle with it too, especially in your 20s. It's kind of just a weird time in a lot of people's lives. So with that being said, I kind of just want to talk about loneliness, what I struggle with, but more than that, I want to dive into what you can do to help you in situations when you feel extremely lonely. I am going to give you guys my tips and tricks on how to deal with loneliness and what you can do to kind of help yourself when you're feeling lonely. So if you guys want to see it, then go ahead and keep on watching. So I guess I'll just dive into my struggle with loneliness. All of my life I've kind of felt lonely, and all of my life I've had friends and I've had family around me, but I've just felt lonely, and I felt like I could be surrounded by so many people and still feel extremely lonely. And I think that's one of the worst things for me, is when I'm actually surrounded by people and I feel lonely. So throughout school, I always had friends, but it wasn't like that great connection. I just never felt like they cared for me like I cared for them. And that sounds like, are you okay? Like, it didn't feel like there was a connection there, or like we really vibed with each other. I remember I had this like group of girlfriends that I was like always hanging out with, not outside of school, but in school. They were the ones I would always talk to or kind of, you know, just chat with, be at lunch with. And it was fun. It was nice. Like, they were all super great girls. But like when they would hang out, like they would all hang out together and then not invite me. Or like when they did invite me, I just felt really lonely and awkward, and like I wanted to go home because I just had anxiety and I felt alone when I was with like 6 other girls. And I mean, it's not their fault at all. They were just closer with each other and they bonded more with each other. And so, you know, I always had those relationships where it wasn't like we were super, you know, and it just kind of made you feel lonely when you were with them. And that's not their fault at all. As a 20-year-old, you're off at college, you aren't put in the same room or in the same building with the same people every day for a whole year, every year. Now you're off at college and you all go different ways, and you're put in classes with people you don't know. So that can be an extremely lonely time when you all go your own separate ways and you're not forced to communicate with the same people every single day for a year, because you're not in high school anymore. You're in college with different people from all over that you don't know. And in your 20s, it's just hard making friends, especially if you're an introvert like me. It's just very awkward to make friends and, you know, kind of make the first move. Another thing that plays a factor is work. When you're in your 20s, you most likely have a job. Most people have jobs, and a lot of times that job can consume you, especially if you're trying to pay for college or you've moved out and you're trying to pay your bills. Like, you're working all the time. It's school and work, school and work. And so, you know, it feels like everyone has this like great social life, but you're like stuck at work. And, you know, you go to work and then you're so exhausted, you come home and you sleep, and then you wake up and you go to school, and then you work, and then you're exhausted. And it's like, how do people do this? Like, how are people like out socializing and having these amazing lives when I'm stuck at work and school. Like, what am I doing wrong? And that can lead to you feeling very, very lonely. So that is kind of my struggle with loneliness. Some of the tips that I have for when you're feeling lonely. The biggest tip that I have when you are feeling lonely is to stop scrolling through social media. That's the biggest tip that I can give you. And I'm someone who loves YouTube, so I follow all these YouTubers on social media, and I am scrolling through and I'm just seeing like how amazing their lives are, what trips they're going on, and people that I go to school with or that I went to high school with are like out partying or hanging out with all these people, and I'm just seeing all these pictures and I'm just like, how are you doing that? The more I scroll through social media, the more lonely I feel, and the more sad I feel that I'm not out there making new friends or making new memories or doing cool things like everyone else is. So as hard as it is, just put your phone down and kind of detach yourself from your phone, from social media, and I promise you that'll be a big chunk of loneliness that'll be taken away, because social media can be such an amazing resource, it is just such an amazing thing, but it can also make you feel extremely lonely when you're in that vulnerable state. So the next thing is to find a hobby. A hobby can be anything, and it can be so simple. You don't have to be great at it. So an example would be baking. Last night I decided to bake some cookies. And why did I decide to do that? Well, because my roommate and my boyfriend had gone to work and I was feeling really lonely. So I decided to bake. And have I ever been a good baker? No. But now I decided to bake these cookies from scratch. And it took like an hour or two to do all of this. And it was just so refreshing and nice to do something for myself. And time flew by so fast, and before you know it, like, your mind is off being lonely. Find a hobby, even the simplest of things, even if you're not good at it, and dive into that and put your all into it, and before you know it, you're gonna forget about even being lonely. Now, the next one is not the most practical of these tips, but if you have the time, the energy, and the money to do this, I really suggest it. One of my tips is to get a pet. So when I'm feeling lonely, I get our dog Taz out and I play with him and I hang out with him, and he feels like my best friend. Like, it's when I'm with him, I think, do I even need humans? Having a pet, having someone to care for, knowing you have to look after that person in order for them to live, makes me feel a lot less lonely and makes me feel like I have a friend who depends on me and loves me. Now, with that being said, do not go out and buy a pet if you cannot care for it and put the time in for it, because they are a lot of time and work that you need to put all your energy into. Number two, if you don't have the money to care for the animal, do not get the animal. As much as I love pets and I encourage you all to get pets, only do it if you are 100% able. So the next thing that I suggest when you are feeling lonely is to get out of the house. So today I was feeling quite lonely, and what did I do? I left. And there's something about being in a house all by yourself that is extremely lonely. The worst thing you can do for yourself is to just sit there in silence and just think about how lonely you are. So getting out of the house, going for a walk is something that's super helpful. Just being out in nature. You can go shopping. That's what I did today. Go out to eat. Go grab your favorite food, girl. Do whatever it takes, but just get out of the house. So the next thing, not everyone can do, but I would say to kind of surround yourself with family. Now, it doesn't have to be blood. If you have people that you refer to as family that aren't blood, then that's great. But I was fortunately blessed with an amazing family that I know that I can call in a second or go running to if I need to. And the first thing I do when I feel lonely or extremely bored or just sad, I FaceTime everyone in my family until someone answers. And I know that not everyone has that. They don't have a good relationship with their family. So if that's the case, if you have distant family that you can run to, or if you have friends that you consider family, I would just try to call them, surround yourself with those people. So the next one is actually a huge one for me, and that is to rid yourself of toxic people and toxic relationships. There is nothing that will make you feel lonelier than a toxic relationship. A big tip is just to stop looking for validation in people that don't really serve you a purpose, or in people that don't really care for you, because I know that that can create a lot of loneliness. So I think a lot of people have the mentality that if you have a lot of friends or a lot of people to hang out with that are your friends, that suddenly you're not going to feel as lonely. This has happened to me. Like, I only have 1 or 2 friends, and so I feel as if I need to start looking for friends and just kind of looking for validation in them that I am not alone and that I'm not this lonely person, that I do have friends. And you know, that's not the way to go about it, because if you don't vibe with each other, or there's just no connection, or you don't really care for each other, like, that relationship is gonna suck and it's gonna go downhill real fast, and it's just not going to fuel you or fill your heart and make you feel happy. It's honestly going to drain you, and it's gonna make you feel worse, because you're putting energy into people that really don't deserve it, and that can make you feel really lonely, and it just drains everything from you. They're literally wasting your time on earth by being a half-assed friend, a half-assed boyfriend. That's not what you need in your life. That group of friends that I had, when I was with them, I just felt so lonely because they weren't the people that I clicked with, that understood me and I understood them. Like, you have to have people that understand you and click with you, or otherwise you're gonna feel so lonely. So just rid yourself of those toxic relationships, no matter how hard it may be. Do it and you will feel so much better. It's kind of really sad, because a lot of the times I've dealt with this myself, I've done it myself. You would rather be with someone that you don't vibe with, that you don't connect with, who just doesn't get you, who maybe you don't even enjoy spending time with, rather than just being alone. And if you think about that, that's just really sad. That's a waste of your time on earth. So that was a long one, but just rid yourself of toxic relationships. Don't feel like you ever have to have a certain amount of friends, or that you have to hang out with people, because you don't. So guys, the point of this is that loneliness can suck, and most of the times it's inevitable. You're gonna feel it at some point in your life. And if you're struggling with it continually, like I am, just remember that this process is a process of loving yourself. When you're lonely, who else do you have? You have yourself. It's important to just take the time to learn about yourself, learn what you love, learn what you don't, appreciate who you are, and just know that not everything that you see on the screens, on social media, is what it seems to be. A lot of those people are struggling with loneliness too. Loneliness doesn't happen just because you don't have a lot of friends. I have an incredible boyfriend who is my literal best friend, who understands me more than anyone ever has understood me, and we are great. He doesn't ever make me feel lonely. I also have a roommate who has been the best friend, and just someone who always makes me laugh and is down to have a good time whenever. And I have an amazing family who is always there to answer my phone calls, to hang out with me. So I don't want to make it seem like I have some awful life with no one in it. With that being said, I don't want this to be a pity party. I don't want you guys to think that my life is awful, because it's not. I really do have a great life. I just struggle with loneliness most of the time. Don't try to force friendships, or don't try to think that you have to find all these friends in order to stop feeling lonely, because the friendships will come to you. the people will come to you. The attractions will happen, the connections will happen in their own time. Forcing relationships, forcing connections, forcing the attraction is what's going to cause loneliness. I hope that you all enjoyed this video. I hope that your loneliness passes. I know that I love you, even if we've never talked in person. I love you, and if you need anyone to talk to about your loneliness or you're feeling lonely, just message me and I promise I will message you back. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. It means a lot. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe and tell your friends to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.